Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to BookTrek 2021. This is a 5-month mission I'm on with a bunch of other booktubers. We're reading Star Trek fiction, and since there's so much of it, we're breaking it down franchise by franchise, iteration by iteration. So for August, which is waning, we are reading Star Trek the Original Series, all the fiction associated with Star Trek the Original Series, no matter when that happens in the long timeline, the 35-year-old timeline of the original series. And I made a rule for myself at the beginning that I would not reread for this event any Star Trek books that I really love, that I've read a million times, and that I wouldn't reread any authors that I really like either, that I would go straight for the stuff that I read only once or that I don't remember. In today's book, I made a little exception for that because I have read this twice. This is Victor Millan's From the Depths. And I first read this when it came out 20 years ago. And then I read it again when I was visiting the old farmhouse up in Vermont. And Mark Richardson, another booktuber, also a member of BookTrek 2021, has a vast Star Trek collection. Vast. And including a lot of stuff that I don't have in book form. And I was prowling around for something to read, you know, once I took the bean to bed. And I found this book. I found a mass market copy of this book. I don't have a mass market paperback of this myself, I'm pretty sure. I have very few of these old pocket Star Treks with the 3-line border around them, these what we'll now call classic Star Trek novels. I have very few of them in paperback form. But I found this and reread it, and so now we're on the third read. So I'm breaking my rule just a bit. I revisited it for BookTrek 2021, mainly because my reread a couple of years ago in Vermont was another example of rereading one of these classic Star Trek novels where I really liked it the second time more than I did the first time. And I revisited. I reread this last night. Now I don't have to worry about shelf space for all of these things. I have ebooks of all of them, so they're all on this Star Trek datapad. This is a story of the world of a planet named Okeanos, sort of the picture, the sort of a Greekified spelling of Oceanus. It's a heavily water world, and it has sort of floating cities that are populated by a society with weird ideas about genetics, about mutation, about selfhood, and they're having a problem, and Kirk has to go to address it. But the problem is caused by Klingon Captain Kain, K-A-I-N, who's described as more three-dimensionally than a lot of Klingon villains are, as an extremely charismatic figure, a handsome figure, someone who doesn't seem particularly Klingon to look at. It turns out in the course of the novel that he has a particularly Klingon motivation. He just hates Kirk. He just hates Captain Kirk. There can be no peace as long as Kirk lives. And that sets up conflicts of its own, but reading it this third time, I was struck most strongly by the fact that Victor Millan really does create this world and its society and its moralities. That often doesn't happen in classic Star Trek fiction, in any Star Trek fiction. Usually the alien race is only there to bounce a plot off, and you very seldom get the feeling that the alien race exists outside of the story in the novel. Usually, writers will try to paper over that by having the alien race be in a crisis of some kind, in which case their long history won't really matter, right? In a way, it won't really matter. It'll be that they really do exist for the purposes of the plot. But that always disappoints me. I like it when Star Trek writers remember that they are also science fiction writers and let themselves go with world building. A lot of times, in all fairness, they're not getting these jobs fast enough. They're not getting these jobs with enough time to do that. But it happens in this book. So that part of this book is very, very refreshing. And there isn't a whole lot that's out of character either. This is very much a one episode, just like the last book that we looked at, of one episode sort of TV script of a Star Trek book. But it's a good example. instead of a forgettable example, it's a good example. As I will offer evidence in the fact that I've gone back to it 3 times now and enjoyed it all 3 times. I don't imagine myself reading this again. and maybe tomorrow I will try to find a book that I've only read the one time, as we wind down Star Trek: The Original Series. But I can recommend this. If you find it at your used bookstore, I think you'll like it. I think you'll enjoy it. It's got some good Star Trek moments, as the crew of the Enterprise is confronted not only with things that they know quite well, crises, and also Klingon aggression, but also literal strange new worlds. That's just terrific. When the world that they encounter is literally a strange new world instead of Nazi Germany or ancient Rome, I'm always pleased. So there you go. From the depths, a nice quick BookTrek video. We will move on to something new tomorrow. I will spin the roulette wheel tonight and see what we come up with. And I'll see you then. Thank you, BookTube.